There are tons of great suburbs around Indianapolis, but which one's the best? In this video, we're going to look at all the different areas around the Circle City, compare them against each other, explore some of the communities they're in, and see which one comes out on top. Hi, I'm Evan Deal with the Lead Icon team in eXp Realty, and I'm a local realtor here in Indianapolis, and every day I help people like you find their next home in and around Indianapolis and all across central Indiana. Part of that is really, if you're moving from out of state, if you're relocating from somewhere else in Indiana, it can be hard to know which community is going to be the right fit for you long term. So I wanted to look at some of the areas around Indianapolis in the suburbs and compare them as areas instead of individual suburbs. So we've already tier ranked all the individual suburbs, and I highly recommend you go check that out. But today I'm going to look at the broader areas, and the way we're going to break that up is by looking at the cardinal directions. So north, south, east, and west, and then break those down into northeast, southwest, northwest, southeast. So we're going to have 8 different sections, and Indianapolis is so thoughtfully laid out as a circle, and it makes it easy to look at these areas that way. So as I get into these rankings, let me be clear. This is not a worst to best list. This is my personal ranking on my favorite areas, the areas that I would live. So every one of these areas has something great about it and some potential drawbacks as well. So keep that in mind as you're watching and assess for yourself. And if you have any questions, let me know. Schedule some time on my calendar. All right, number 8 for me is the east side of Indianapolis. So here I'm talking about suburbs like New Palestine, a little bit further out, Greenfield, and I really like this area. It's very agrarian. So if you are looking for more of a small rural community, this is a really great option around the bigger city. And in fact, New Palestine is one of the smallest suburbs around Indianapolis in terms of development. It really doesn't compare to the ones that are as close to Indianapolis as it is, but it's very much a farming community. Also, one of the coolest high school mascots in the city, they're the Dragons. Just sidebar, I think that's cool. But that's what you see a lot out east. You see a ton of farmland east of the city of Indianapolis, and we'll touch on that with some of the other ones as well. But in New Palestine, you don't see as much of that farmland turning into housing developments that you see elsewhere. You see it still as farms. And Greenfield's not really a suburb so much, but it's a city in its own right. And I like Greenfield a lot. It's a city that's undergoing revitalization over time. It's been around for a long time, and it's growing population-wise. So great area to live, but just in terms of comparing all the areas, I have it 8th on my list because it's the least developed. So number 7 on our list is Franklin Township. And Franklin Township is an area I know really well because I used to live there for almost a decade, and I still have family there. It is not the same as Franklin, Indiana. People confuse that a lot. Franklin is a city south of Indianapolis along 65. Franklin Township is the southeast box of Marion County. So if Marion County is broken up into 9 townships, the southeast one is Franklin Township. And what you see out there is a lot of residential space. There's not a ton of commercial development in Franklin Township. It's kind of the continued population growth of Marion County, because while much of the city is fully developed, Franklin Township historically has been largely agrarian and had just had a ton of farmland, but that farmland is turning over into new housing. I mean, it's rinse and repeat again and again, new community, new community, new community, because the demand is there, the population growth is there in Indianapolis, and you got to build houses somewhere. So really what you see in Franklin Township is a ton of housing options. But the reason it ranked lower on my list is because there's not as much in terms of pockets of development. You know, when I lived there, we lived in a new build community, and it was a really nice community, but some of the conveniences of day-to-day life, like going to the grocery store, took 5-10 minutes longer than it would in other parts of the city. And it doesn't sound like much, but that can add up on a day-to-day basis. Or if your restaurants are more limited, then you just don't have as many options on a day-to-day basis. So it's a little bit less convenient. But the housing is more affordable than a lot of the other areas we're going to talk in. And it's very plentiful because builders keep building new communities there. So if you're looking for a new build home in Indianapolis, Franklin Township is a really great option, and there are some really nice homes there. Number 6 on our list is the South. And this feels like a little bit of an upset pick because I thought I was going to put it a little higher, but I'm going to put it at 6. And when I say the South, I'm broadly talking about Greenwood, including Center Grove, Bargersville, and Franklin. Franklin's not as much of a suburb. It's a little further out. But really nice areas throughout Greenwood, throughout Center Grove especially. But I ranked it on this list because there are so many nice areas around Indianapolis, so I got to slot them somewhere. Once again, the scenery on the south side, kind of flat, kind of farmland. You see that a lot in Center Grove. There are pockets of forestry as well, but you see a lot of very flat land. And that's the primary reason I put it here at 6, is because it's not the most exciting geographically. Greenwood's got pretty much everything you could want out of a normal city. It's a larger city in Indiana. It's got 2 major high schools with Greenwood and Center Grove, and it's got every commercial thing you could think of. There's any business you want to be a part of, it's there in Greenwood. It's also not too hard to hop up the highway or hop up the interstate, either 69 or 65, to get up to Indianapolis if you work downtown. So there are a lot of good options across the south side. But in terms of like new development, there are some new developments, but not quite as many as you see in other areas around Indianapolis. I will say the south side is reportedly getting a Buc-ee's, so that's kind of exciting. But in general, comparing the areas, I would put some of the development not quite on the same tier as what you're seeing, especially on the north side of Indianapolis, which we'll touch on in a little bit. One area that I did want to highlight here is Franklin, which is a pretty neat city. It's got its own college. It's got an older, more historic vibe, but there are new and fresh developments happening there as well. But a great small town just outside of the bounds of Indianapolis. Not really a suburb in its own, more of a city in its own right, but a small one. Also, Bargersville, kind of similar. Bargersville is way out in the country, south of Greenwood, but it's a really nice community. It's got a kind of trendy downtown. There's lots of local restaurants and shops. There's nice luxury communities like Aberdeen out that way. Really nice area in Bargersville, and it's an area that continues to develop. So lots to love about the south side. Number 5 on our list is the Southwest. And by Southwest, I'm talking about Mooresville and Plainfield. Now, this one feels like a little bit of an upset, putting it above the South, but I really like both of these areas a lot. And one of the reasons I ranked this number 5 is because this is where the airport sits. So no matter where you live around Indianapolis, you're going to end up in the Southwest a lot. And as a result, it's very, very convenient to travel to and from the Southwest. Plainfield is just a great hub around Indianapolis. Very easy to get around, very easy to get around within Plainfield as well. And the Plainfield downtown continues to develop. There are great fixtures that are older, like places like the Oasis Diner, some of the older historic buildings throughout downtown Plainfield. But they also have new things like Hendrix Live, which is a performing arts center right in the heart of Plainfield. It's just a really cool area. It's got everything you could want, from hotels and restaurants. Obviously, being near the airport really helps with all of that. It's very, very easy to get downtown from Plainfield. You just hop on I-70, and then you have so the agrarian side as well. I mean, we are in Indiana. You keep hearing me say it. I'm talking about cornfields. I'm talking about soybeans, maybe even a little bit of wheat here and there. But Plainfield has its agrarian areas as well out there in Hendricks County. Not as much as, out in Danville, but definitely there in Plainfield too. And Mooresville as well. A nice community, smaller community. They will fix all your joints because no, not those kind of joints. I'm talking about the hips and knees. That's what they do in the medical profession in Mooresville. It's one of the specialty centers around Indiana. But just a lot to really like about the Southwest. But the main thing I like about it is it's super convenient in terms of getting around, but it's also more affordable than some of the areas we're about to touch on. So if you're looking at different budget tiers around the city, honestly, the order we've kind of gone in so far has been roughly like a median home price. as well. I would say the East can, that was number 8 on our list. That one is probably a touch higher because there are a lot of larger parcels out there. But Southeast, South, Southwest are going to be a little more affordable than a lot of the areas on the north side of Indianapolis. That doesn't mean that areas are better or worse, they're just set up differently. So depending on what you're looking for, where you're commuting to, there are really great options in every area around Indianapolis. Number 4, and I swear I'm not just doing a circle around the Circle City, number 4 is the West. So here I'm talking about Avon and Brownsburg. I guess you could throw Danville in here as well, but I'm mainly going to talk about Avon and Brownsburg. So this is Hendricks County. We talked about Plainfield. We are in the heart of Hendricks County now with Avon and Brownsburg. And there's a lot to like here. There's a lot of houses. I will say both of the areas are sort of running out of space in terms of where you're going to put new construction. Avon's not like the biggest suburb. It's kind of boxed in on different sides by Indianapolis. You have Danville, you have Plainfield, you have Brownsburg. So there's only so many areas you can grow to. There is still development in all of these areas. Avon, Brownsburg both have really highly rated school systems. Shout out to the Avon Marching Band. They're like the best in the entire country, I think at least for the last 2 years and many times before that as well. They're just really nice areas. There's a lot of nature to be had in Brownsburg, parks, really nice areas to get out and explore. And while you won't see as much development in terms of like the commercial side of things in Avon and Brownsburg, it does still exist. There's lots of fulfillment centers on the west side of Indianapolis, and you see that as a convenient way to get to and from the airport as well. So there are areas to explore out west. The one drawback here is Rockville Road in Avon. It is a brutally long stretch of commercial development where you have every sort of chain store that you can think of on either side of the road. And while that's great in terms of shopping, the traffic sometimes on that road can be rough. So something to look out for. There are every convenience you could want in Avon, in Brownsburg, but I think the traffic flow works better in some of the other suburbs around Indianapolis. That's why it ranks where it does on my list. Number 3, I'm finally going to break my circle of just going around the city. I swear that was not my intention, and I'm going to have an upset pick here that might upset some people. Number 3 on my list is the North, and I'm talking Carmel and Westfield here. So a lot of people would probably put this as number 1 on their list, but that is not me. I like Carmel a lot. I like Westfield a lot. They're both really, really nice cities. But in terms of if I'm ranking them against the remaining areas of the 3, it would be number 3 for me. There's really nothing to dislike about Carmel that comes to mind, other than that it's kind of expensive to get into in terms of the median home price. If you want to learn more about that, look at our video on the most expensive places to live around Indianapolis. And if you want the opposite of that, look at our video on the most affordable places around Indianapolis. But affordability is not really the strong suit of Carmel. It's the opposite. It's one of the most expensive places to live in Indiana. And that's part of what holds it back here. Is it's very, very nice and very convenient to get around with all the roundabouts. It's the roundabout capital of the entire country. If you didn't know, I think it's probably actually the roundabout capital of the world in terms of the most roundabouts. But everything in Carmel is really nice, but it comes at the price of entry. And then Westfield is also really nice, and it's on its way to development, but it's not fully developed yet, right? There's still much to be done in Westfield. There are multiple downtown projects going on in Westfield to really spruce up the interior, and you really see it grow. It's like the fastest growing or one of the fastest growing places in all of Indiana, and there's a reason for that. The amount of development that's going on there is turning it into a really wonderful city, but it's still in progress, and that's what holds it back just a little bit in my ranking, because there's things to do in Westfield, especially if your kids are in youth sports with Grand Park, but there's going to be more to do in the future, and I think I'm banking that into my rankings here. The other thing about Carmel is even despite the roundabouts, there can be some traffic backups in different parts of the city. And traffic backups hold a lot of weight for me because they impact your day-to-day life. And it sounds silly. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever, it's traffic. There's traffic all over Indianapolis. But depending on your commute, that makes a major impact on your life. Are you going to be stuck? Are you sitting somewhere in your car? I know I used to commute downtown from Franklin Township, and while it's an easy route, you could get stuck in traffic on the interstate, especially on an icy day, and then your 20-minute commute, your 25-minute commute becomes 45 minutes, an hour, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I lost a ton of my day there. So that type of stuff really holds weight with me in my rankings. Number 2 on my list, also maybe an upset, is the Northwest, and this includes Zionsville, Whitestown, Lebanon. And I've been spending a lot of time here lately with my clients because this area is exploding. I'm mainly talking about Whitestown and Lebanon here. Zionsville is very well developed. And Zionsville, if you've seen any of our other videos, you know it's like the most expensive area to live in Indiana. There's tons of amazing homes in Zionsville. We're talking luxury estates. We're talking Colts players, billionaires, whoever. You see a lot of it in Zionsville. It's a very nice community. It's typically ranked in like the top 2 or 3 public school systems in Indiana, according to the rankings. And there's tons of like horseback riding, manor estates. It's got a beautiful downtown with cobblestone streets and tons of cool shops and restaurants. What's not to like about Zionsville? But the major growth you see in the area is in Lebanon and Whitestown. There are tons of different businesses moving in there. You have fulfillment centers all over the place in Whitestown. There's kind of a whole district for them. But both of these cities used to be really small towns, and you can still see that. If you go to Whitestown, you can see kind of the historic small town Whitestown, and then all of a sudden south of that, you have this whole brand new city, and there are new build communities all over Whitestown. Lebanon is similar, where it's a little bit further behind, but you see it developing. There's a huge Eli Lilly project in Lebanon right now, and you see tons of people relocating to the area as a result. And both Whitestown and Lebanon are seeing the benefits of that, where both are growing significantly, and it's one of the hottest areas of growth in Indiana right now. So for all these reasons, and because it's a straight shot up there on the interstate system, you have 69 going northwest. You have 865 popping off of 465 to help get out there a little more easily. It's just really easy to get around the whole Northwest. There's tons of land available no matter where you're looking there in Boone County. I will say it's pretty expensive in Boone County relative to other areas, but there are definitely more affordable areas in like Lebanon. There are still some in Whitestown as it continues to develop. Zionsville is not where you want to look for affordability. Like I said, it's the most expensive area to live in Indiana statistically, but just really nice areas all throughout the Northwest. I love the small town vibes of Whitestown and of Lebanon. I'm from a small town myself, so it speaks to me. And just lots to love up there. Number 1, if you watched our tier list video of all the suburbs around Indianapolis, you probably knew where I was going to pick, because I am biased towards Fishers, and Fishers is in the Northeast. So by the Northeast, I'm talking Fishers, I'm talking Noblesville. I'm even going to loop in McCordsville, which I probably could have put in the East, but I don't care. I'm going to loop it into the Northeast because it touches Geist, and my brain just says Geist means Northeast. And you can even go out past McCordsville. You can talk about small towns like Fortville, Ingalls, and if you really wanted to go out to Pendleton, you could include that as well, but Pendleton's kind of its own city. That being said, I love the Northeast area of Indianapolis. The geography is a little bit different than a lot of the other areas. You have lots of forestry throughout the Northeast. You have Geist Reservoir in the Northeast, which is, one of the 3 primary reservoirs around Indianapolis. I skipped over Eagle Creek in the west, but you have Eagle Creek in the west. Quick sidebar, half of Eagle Creek's a park, half of it is residential and commercial. So kind of an interesting vibe. But Geist is a totally residential reservoir, and the whole area has hills, which you don't have all over the place in central Indiana. I know that sounds silly if you're coming from another state, but it actually is really nice when you get hills. It has forestry, Fun fact, Indiana used to be covered in forests, and a lot of it is cut down, over the past few hundred years as people settled the land. So it's nice to still have that forestry, which you get tons of animals. There's squirrels and deer and stuff, which I don't know. I'm from the country. That's what I like. And even beyond that, you have every convenience you could ever want in Fishers and Noblesville. Fishers is like the fourth biggest city in Indiana. There's over 104,000 people. It's got more or less everything you can get in Carmel, but it's not quite as expensive as Carmel. I will say Carmel has like the Arts and Design District. It's got the Palladium. There are some nice, unique things about Carmel, but dollar for dollar, you're getting roughly the same experience in Fishers, in my opinion, but it doesn't cost quite as much. Fishers is still, of course, one of the more expensive areas to live around Indianapolis, especially in the Geist District, but compared to Carmel, compared to Westfield, compared to Zionsville, you may be able to get housing in Fishers and definitely in Noblesville that are not quite as expensive. So I think you get a lot of the same benefits you get from other areas around Indianapolis, but you aren't paying quite as much. It's also very, very easy to get around Fishers and Noblesville. You have 69, you have 37, and it's simple. It's simple to navigate the whole area. Fishers flows right into Noblesville. You have shopping at the Hamilton Town Center. I don't know. There's just lots to do in Fishers. There's lots to do in Noblesville. There's nature. There's great parks. What is not to like? So that is why it's number one on my list. I didn't even touch on the schools in all these areas. I always recommend you look at the rankings yourself. As a realtor, we can't speak directly to the schools. That's why you always hear me talk about the rankings, because we point back to the data. So if you're interested in all of these areas, any of these areas, let me know. The best way to get started on a home search, if you're relocating, if you're just moving within the city, whatever you want to do, I've got a Google Meet link below. Hop on a Google Meet with me and let's meet each other. Let's talk through what your goals are for your home search and look at these different areas. What's going to be the best fit for you? Where are you working? I work in all of them. I like all of them. There's great things about each and every area. Are you looking for somewhere with more land or maybe even a farm? Hey, let's go check out New Palestine. Are you working for Eli Lilly up in the Northwest? Let's go check out Whitestown in Lebanon. Are you working downtown? Maybe Franklin Township is a great option for you. There's something in each of these areas around town. They're all wonderful places to live. They're all their own communities, and I would love to check them out with you. So give me a call, give me a text, set up a Google Meet, whatever you like. And if you did like this video, please leave a like. It's a big help for us, and it doesn't take you more than a second. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you can see the next video that drops on here and stay in the loop on everything happening in the Circle City. With that, I'm Evan Deal with the Lead Icon team in eXp Realty. We'll see you in the next one.